I'm thankful to Dr. Madhuri and Dr. Nidhi for inviting me to speak on learning at a deeper level, need for paradigm shift in our teaching learning process, insights from National Education Policy 2020. Let me begin by saying that these days, a lot of conversations are happening in education field which are focused on how we can best prepare our students for the future. NEP 2020 also talks about developing futuristic capacities in students. It aims to empower learners by developing their knowledge, their understanding, and it talks of higher cognitive thinking skills where students can apply, analyze, and critically examine things. They can think logically, they can think creatively, and solve problems or find solutions to current challenges which we are facing at the local level or at the global level. There has been a paradigm shift from knowledge as given to creation of knowledge. This we could see in the NCF 2005 as well, and the present policy, the National Education Policy 2020, has very elaboratively talked about this. Classrooms need to transform into laboratories where ideas are tested and new ideas are generated. Solutions to real life problems are sought. Teachers share lessons that are authentic, based on experiences like experiential learning, lessons which are challenging and which are purposeful. These lessons also focus on, the focus is on soft skills and also critical skills, which are very essential for students in their college life, for success in their college life, career, as well as in their life. Skills which are like collaborating, creating, solving problems, and communicating effectively. And also to have resilience and perseverance in various kind of tasks. Equipped with these capacities, these skills and attitudes, our youth can transform India into a vibrant knowledge society. Now, in the classroom, in a normal classroom, we are unable to arouse intellectual curiosity among students. What is needed is to develop that curiosity, which they already have since childhood, to develop a scientific temperament, openness to learning, flexibility, and adaptability. These are the values a teacher needs to develop in his students. For this, a teacher has to think what kind of experiences he needs to provide to his students. How can he create a classroom which is authentic, which is innovative, and learning opportunities which are varied in nature, catering to individual needs of students, and which help them to develop skills which prepare them for an uncertain future. As you know, things are changing very rapidly, and today we cannot predict what will be the future skills required by students in the next 5 years. So there are certain skills which, if they possess, they will be able to perform well, which they'll be able to succeed in life. For this, the teachers need to create a variety of learning experiences in the classroom for their students. And that means we need to break away from the traditional forms of assessment and traditional kind of activities which we carry out in the classroom, using instead new ways, novel ways, trying new ideas, new kind of resources. Those resources may be outside the school or the college or the university. They may be, resources which we utilize from the community. And these will be, these will empower students to take more of a lead in the class as well as in life. So the content for this, what kind of content we need to teach, what kind of methods should be there to teach, we need to deliberate on those. We need to understand that there's certain things which we need to know about our students. How do they learn? What are their interests? Because in the present circumstances, we find students are more uh, fascinated towards digital media rather than the print media. So what interests them and how they learn, the process of learning also we need to understand. Why they need to know specific content, or, why the content which we are teaching needs to be taught to them. And also, why do they need to complete certain tasks? So this has to be clear to the teacher, as well as it has to be made clear to the students also, that why do they need to study this content, why they need to perform certain tasks. So we need to become comfortable with taking less of lead and allowing our students to talk about openly about the various methods which can be used for teaching in the classroom, and let them become co-learners and co-designers of the learning process in the classroom. We must make time for ourselves to explore our passion areas, and not only our own passion areas, but also the interest areas of our students, whether it is something related to the content or that we teach, the content that we teach, or something that pushes us outside of the classroom or the comfort zone which we have created. It is important that we stretch ourselves professionally. We can help students better understand what they need to push through different kinds of challenges, which might confront them in their future. Teaching only the content that is comfortable and which we know limits the learning potential of our students is not good enough. Instead, we must be open to taking challenges, taking risks with learning in the classroom, and not knowing all the answers. We are not supposed to be knowing all the answers to the questions which students have. So, the eagerness to learn, that should come from the teacher, and it should pass on to the student. We empower our students more by shifting away from the role of content providers to being co-learners, where we are learning together, exploring together in the classroom. We need to push our students to design their own learning paths. This we can easily achieve by creating new opportunities for learning, by asking students what they're interested in or what they're curious about. Then change what we have been doing, and instead let students become the creator and designers, in the classroom interaction, in the classroom programs. Ask students for ideas for the learning methods which are used in classes, and work towards having students see learning as a process. We can prepare students to work in projects by creating opportunities for them to collaborate. We can also plan college and community events and open up possibilities for creativity and innovation, where we can learn right along with our students. We can plan do-it-yourself activities. And in these do-it-yourself activities, the idea is to promote setting of goals, inspiring students to become, asking questions, becoming curious, to engage in meaningful work, and that connects more closely to their interests and offers opportunities for building self-awareness and doing their self-assessment. We should plan time for students to decide on projects, which projects they would like to do. Like I do in my class, I teach sustainable development goals. I teach the paper on sustainable development, education for sustainable development. And in that, what I do is I ask my students to prepare and decide on their own projects. and to innovate, So that's what we need to do, that they should decide on the projects they want to take up and to innovate, and perhaps even, they can decide which team they would like to work with whom would they like to pair with, or whether they would like to pair with a teacher mentor or with their peers. And then brainstorm, bring ideas from everywhere, from different, from even engage with community members, talk to them, and bring those ideas and brainstorm with those ideas with their teammates. And then bring new ideas also, which can help in or which can promote problem solving. And then they design their own thinking, they design their teams, and that helps them in their in developing their mind in that particular field, or developing their understanding in that particular field. So working together will foster a learning community and show students, they'll form a learning community, which is very important. And that's what former President of India, Mr. Kalam, had said, that we need to create learning communities. And these learning communities can help in creating a knowledge society. So we need to foster a learning community and show students that we have, that they have to become lifelong learners. It is not that the learning process stops once you are out of college or out of the university department. The learning process should continue, and the whole purpose is to make people lifelong learners. And that can happen if the teacher himself is also a role model for them and is engaged in learning at, just like his own students. So the educator also has to keep learning and challenging himself, and that will be an example for the students to follow. Teachers should focus on providing students with variety of opportunities to explore their interests, to solve their problems, and to connect globally, and to make decisions about their own learning paths, including the process of learning and what will be the outcome of learning. They should be planning all that. This can be done, through project-based learning, or through place-based learning, or through experiential learning. And all these methods have been proposed in the National Education Policy 2020. So National Education Policy is, making you think about teaching learning process as a process which enhances deeper learning, and which where the teacher and the student become co-learners. Through project-based learning or inquiry-based learning, we can encourage students to connect with the community, or even explore globally and look for problems and challenges that exist either in the local environment or in the world at large. Problem-based learning benefits students, and it gives them a chance to design their own learning path. It can also be highly beneficial for educators to design their own project-based learning experiences as well. When we ask students to try a new tool, use a certain method, or engage in an activity, we must also be ready to do the same. To implement the place-based learning in our classrooms, we can reach out into the community, and the community can now become the learning resource, where we set up our experiences, for the students to learn. So this experiential learning is going to take place in the community. So place-based learning is anytime, anywhere learning, which can be influenced by location and use of technology. You can use any means of technology to provide a more personalized experience. Like we have self-learning modules, we have self-paced learning, like we have now we are creating these open online resources. So those kind of things. Our students are preparing for the real world, and that's the whole purpose. All learning should be utilized to engage with the community and to solve problems of the community. So here our students will be preparing for the real world, and they should have time to see that the world works, and the challenges which exist in the world, uh, they are able to find solutions to those. As educators, we need to step out of our classrooms and then bring in the real world into the classroom and talk about relevant issues, whether these issues, like I do, as I said, I teach education for sustainable development. So what I do is I sometimes bring in um, issues like stubble burning, cleaning of rivers, canals. So these are the issues which I talk about in my classroom, and later on students take these as their projects, so that students can engage and connect with these meaningfully, the topics which are being shared in the classroom. There was a report which was given by UNESCO, which is known as the Future of Learning Pedagogies for the 21st Century. In this report, it has been highlighted that there is a need to for the learners to need there's a need to develop new technology competencies. They need to learn skills like critical thinking, communication, being able to communicate effectively, innovate, solve problems through negotiations and collaborations. And NEP also talks about the same. It expects the teacher to go beyond the textbook teaching and develop in his or her students the love for learning. You know, the National Education Policy talks about how to think, not what to think, and how to learn rather than what to learn. So, from the content, we are moving towards the process, the learning process. And once the student acquires the learning process, I think he'll be in a better position to learn any concept. So, that learnability has to be developed in the student. Teachers should ignite only a spark in his students for deeper learning, and then that will continue in the students. In order for students to be able to achieve their fullest learning potential and to be more actively engaged in learning, there must be a positive and supportive teacher-student relationship. Classrooms, the classroom space has to become safe. It has to be welcoming. It has to be supportive, democratic. It should be fair to everyone, providing equal opportunity to everyone, and it should be equitable. A place that prepares you to take up divergent issues and embrace celebrations, celebrating each other's uh, achievements, where you work collaboratively rather than competitively. There should be an opportunity to learn together in different and somewhat challenging ways. Such a space needs to be created and then maintained by the teacher so that the students feel comfortable, they feel empowered, and they feel, their self-esteem, their self-confidence goes up. 21st century pedagogies need also to infuse the traditional framework with digital technology so that it enhances the teaching learning experiences of students. NEP also talks about having roots in one's own ancient culture and value system, and at the same time being open to experimentation, new ways of learning, new concepts, and novel ideas. Now, what would be the steps which we need to take as teachers for creating a classroom environment which develops deeper learning in students? I think the first priority area should be that the teacher should be very clear about the goals along with the criteria for success. And this should be also communicated to students in a manner that clarifies what we expect from them. And also it helps them, it serves as a guide for self-assessment. So they can assess themselves. Number 2 is the content. Now, what kind of content the teacher should be using? He should use content, and performance expectations should be to create a real world of problems or situations for students where they engage with those problems and try to find a solution to those. The learning experiences that offer authentic interdisciplinary tasks, those provide relevance and promote curiosity among students. The third thing which we need to understand is that learning is a social process. Since it is a social process, it has to be done in a collaborative manner. So, building collaborative culture where everybody comes together, people build teams. They not only build teams, but they also handhold others. They work together. The idea is not to show that one-upmanship, but the idea is to take along everyone. And these groups can be, when you form groups, collaborative groups, these can be flexible groups where people choose their own partners, or they can be the peer tutoring also can happen. It can also be done through seminars, through academic discussions, online discussions where experts also help them to learn about the field they are, about the content they are wanting to learn. And the fourth is that the students have to take up an ownership. It's a process where students have to come forward. They have to now be in the lead position. The learning will increase exponentially if the students are given the position of lead, and they are the one who are making choices how to show to exhibit their own mastery over the subject, or to show what they have created, or what is the final product, or perform. Like, you ask them to work in a team and then ask them to make a presentation of what they have done. So that will give them an opportunity to exhibit what they have mastered, or the final product they have created, or if they have made a certain design, or whatever they have created. So encouraging them to create, and also then exhibiting what they have created, and communicating effectively their own creation. And for this, they can use digital tools or any resources. Then they can also help others to learn. They can engage with their classmates, their peer mates, and then they can become co-designers or co-learners in the learning process. Students should also have access to a variety of tools and resources. It is now the job of the teacher to create a classroom where variety of tools and resources are available to students. These should be in print media, digital media, whichever media the students want to use. And throughout the learning process, when students are creating, their own learning products, or they're demonstrating their learning products. So in that process, whatever they require, whatever they need, that should be provided to them. They should be provided with a variety of tools and given ample choice, to use these. With the Corona pandemic, things have opened up. we are now using a lot of digital tools, digital strategies, and we are also talking of blended learning, flipped classroom. So these are, these offer rich experiences that are highly engaging, and they also honor the students' choices, what they would like to learn, how would they like to, work to create. So that should be taken care of. Then, regardless of the content, reading, writing, and speaking should be incorporated in every learning experience. You can expose students to multiple texts, They are primary sources of knowledge, they are secondary sources, they are online sources. So allow them to use all these sources and give them free access to these sources. And then engage students in opportunities which, which through which they can express themselves through writing. They can write lab reports, they can write technical manuals, they can write narrative stories, or they can write their opinions, they can write research papers or articles, or notes, whatever they want to write. So let them write as much as possible to effectively communicate what they have done. And then finally, throughout the learning experiences, a feedback loop should be there. That should be given to the students to guide their progress towards the learning goals. To what extent they have been able to learn, there should be kind of formative evaluation which is going on along with their learning. If it is a self-paced learning module, then you can give a feedback based on the criteria which you decide right in the beginning, and which you make clear to your students in the beginning. On the basis of that criteria, you can have a criterion reference test, which is there, through which the students can see their own achievement, they can measure their own achievement. And this feedback can help them improve. It will be a kind of feedback which is which can be remedial also, which can in case they are not able to achieve the targets, that will help them to know where they stand and how much progress is required further. And this can be a teacher to student feedback, this can be a student to student feedback, or this can be a self-assessment for themselves. They want to see their own assessment, they want to assess themselves, and then they want to use this feedback for self-improvement. The feedback is, for providing students with the safety of, that I can take further risks without being judged, or without having any fear for failure. So that's what the whole idea of feedback is. So these are the steps which, if the teachers follow, can help students in deeper learning. And the whole idea behind deeper learning is the learning which stays with you, the learning which is lifelong, and the learning which helps you in applying in different situations in life, in overcoming problems, or in finding solutions to problems. And also this learning you can pass on to others. This kind of deeper learning will build students' confidence. It will make them comfortable. And then, it will help to foster a very strong bond between the teacher and the taught, the teacher and the student. And it will create a very supportive environment where they both can learn together. I think I've made I've done justice to the topic which was given to me. And in case there are any questions, you can write your questions to me, and I'll try to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Thank you so much.